Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah.
So we are diving deep today. We've got this stack of documents all about the operations of Locke Lamora and Jean Tannen. You know, the gentleman bastards.
That's right. And this isn't just your typical heist story. No, they're in deep. We're talking survival mode.
Totally. They've got Locke poison, some powerful enemy breathing down their necks, and, well, the weirdest part, they have to rig a political election. In Karthain.
And get this, the ones pulling the strings, the bonds magi. Actual sorcerers. The most powerful ones around, supposedly. And they're using these criminals, these mortals, to fight their battles for them.
Right. So our mission here, really, is to figure out what's going on with this bonds magi political game. It sounds bizarre.
It is. We need to understand the limits they put on their own magic, why they do that, and crucially, how Locke's past, his whole history makes him the perfect pawn in all this.
Okay, so before we even get to Karthain and the election mess, we got to go back. We need to understand Locke's, let's call it, education. His beginnings were, well, brutal. Under the thief maker in Camor, Shadeshill.
Yeah, Shadeshill wasn't about finesse. It was pure, raw survival. The thief maker ran a tight ship, if you can call it that.
The documents describe his voice like moldy velvet. Creepy. And the orders were simple.
Dead simple. Fetch back a nice bit of coin or flash at all hazards. That was the mantra. Fail.
Yeah, fail. And a limitless supply of cold graveyard dirt awaits you for supper. He didn't mince words.
No, he really didn't. And we see the results. Kids like Tam, the fresh catch, didn't last. Or no teeth, remember, under the wagon wheel.
Grim. And Locke himself. Got kicked in the throat for coming back empty-handed one time. It really hammers home, doesn't it? Survival meant playing a part, putting on that mask.
Absolutely. Failure wasn't just punished, it was often fatal, which makes the shift to Father Chains so interesting.
Right. Talk about contrast. From the sheer violence of Shadeshill to, well, Chains was different. Still demanding, but different.
Completely. Chains didn't use beatings. His pressure was more psychological, manipulative almost. Our sources say he drove them through sharp disappointment and bright satisfaction.
He was sculpting them, wasn't he? Taking that raw survival instinct and refining it.
Exactly, and look at what he taught them. Not lockpicking 101, it was arithmetic, languages, history, heraldry.
Dancing, swordplay, stuff you'd expect a minor noble to learn. This was training for the absolute top tier of con artists.
For the long game. High-end confidence work, nothing petty about it.
And this leads to the Temple of Paralandro, the initiation, making them officially the gentleman bastards.
Becoming thieves among thieves, inheriting the night. But even then, Chains wasn't quite done testing Locke. He needed one more piece.
Ah, the Windows work. Okay, this was elaborate.
Deeply. A staged housebreaking job. Chains fakes Sabetha's kidnapping, Sabetha being Locke's rival and colleague at the time.
And Locke's job is to climb up, get to this window, and hand her a vial for suicide, to avoid supposed torture and rape.
He thinks he's offering mercy, a quick end versus something horrific.
And then the rug pull. Chains reveals it was all fake. A game you couldn't win, he calls it.
Brutal. But it wasn't about climbing skills. It was about Locke's core. Would he make that incredibly hard choice? Choose a definitive, merciful end for a friend over letting them suffer?
Chains needed to know. The documents quote him, "There's still one thing we needed to know about you, Locke." He needed to confirm that ruthless protective core.
And that quality, that willingness to make the impossible choice, that's precisely what makes him valuable later on.
Which brings us, smack bang into the current crisis. Locke's in Lashane, and he's poisoned. Badly.
Yeah, the descriptions are rough. Shaking hands, can't hold things, coughing up blood, ruby-colored droplets into his wine. He's fading fast.
And Jean is panicking. Understandably, doctors are insanely expensive.
Right. The nobles turn them into status symbols. So regular people, even successful criminals like Jean, might struggle to afford the best.
So Jean does something drastic. He kidnaps one. Physicker's Zodesti.
At knife point. And not just any knife, that push dagger. The description is chilling.
Yeah. There's only one use for a knife like this. You try to call out or pull away, and you'll be wearing your belly fat for an apron. Jean wasn't messing around. He'd risk it all for Locke.
That level of desperation, it seems, catches someone's attention. Or perhaps it was planned all along. Because then she arrives. Patience.
A bonds mage. 5 rings, meaning powerful, and she offers help.
She performs this huge magical ritual, removes the poison. The documents call it a significant piece of work, something any mage for miles would feel.
But it takes a toll on Locke, right? He's cured, but physically shattered, needs to eat constantly like the first food the gods had ever conjured.
He's alive but vulnerable, which is exactly how Patience wants him.
Here comes the deal. The Faustian bargain, really.
Pretty much. Patience offers a full recovery, protection, safety, but there's a price.
Service. They have to work for her faction in the Karthain election, rig it for her side.
Locke's too weak to argue. Jean accepts for him, but he gets the last word in, doesn't he?
He does. Tells Patience straight. If you're lying, I'll try to kill you again. Sets the tone, I think.
It really does. But okay, step back a second. Why? Why would these all-powerful sorcerers need two criminals to fix a local election? Can't they just, magic it?
That's the million-ticket question, isn't it? And the answer gets to the heart of the Bonds Magi. It's the core rule they live by.
They are forbidden from using their magic directly in Karthain politics, on the election, on the citizens. It's a hard line, self-imposed.
Patience calls it battling by proxy. They use agents, mortals, like Locke and Jean. Orators, organizers, never magi directly involved.
And the why is fascinating. It's fear. Deep-seated historical fear.
Fear of what wiped out the Eldrin. This ancient, powerful civilization. Whatever destroyed them, the Bonds Magi don't want to attract its attention.
So their magic has to be kept quiet and disciplined. They can't make big, flashy displays of power, especially not concentrated in one place or event.
Which leads to this bizarre strategy, these black contracts, thousands of them. Mundane stuff, political games, criminal enterprises.
It's like magical waste disposal. They use these small, scattered operations to constantly bleed off the consequences of their power.
Exactly, like lots of tiny flames.
Yeah.
Sparking randomly, instead of one vast invisible conflagration that might act like a beacon to whatever destroyed the Eldrin.
So the election isn't really about controlling Karthain, not primarily anyway. It's about managing their own magical footprint. It's paranoia driving politics.
Mind-bending stuff. Okay, so the actual politics in Karthain, they need to win a majority on the Conseil. 19 seats total.
Patience is running the Deep Roots Party. They represent the conservative, stability-focused faction, think Providence, Temperance.
And the opposition, the Black Iris Party. They're backed by the more aggressive Bonds Magi faction.
Yeah.
The Exceptionalists, Foresight, the Falconers crowd.
And these aren't people you want winning, apparently. There's a worrying precedent mentioned.
The Anatolis contract, back in Camor, that involved causing the single greatest bloodbath among the nobility. So, yeah, the Black Iris faction plays rough. Dangerously rough.
Which raises the stakes considerably. And then there's the personal angle. Locke finds out Sabetha is in Karthain too.
Working for the other side.
Ah.
For the Black Iris.
And Patience makes it crystal clear. No collusion. If Locke tries to make any kind of side deal with Sabetha, any arrangement outside the Bonds Magi rules...
Patience will have Sabetha killed instantly. So they're forced to compete genuinely against each other.
Right.
Wow.
Talk about pressure. So the game begins. Locke and Jean set up shop as Masters Lazari and Callus.
They link up with Nikaros, a Deep Roots operative, and Jostin, an innkeeper who provides their base.
And Locke immediately starts flexing those old management skills, hiring new staff for Jostin, but also ordering Locke changes right away.
Testing loyalty from minute one, classic Locke, and telling Nikaros just to say yes to everything, establish control.
Then they move on to sabotage. Pure, elegant sabotage against the Black Iris.
The horses, that was clever. Anonymously tipping off the Lashane police.
Yep. Claiming horses stolen in a high-profile robbery were found stashed at the Black Iris's inn instantly makes the opposition look like common criminals, receivers of stolen goods.
Quick, dirty, effective. But the real masterpiece seems to be Lavaris.
Ah, Councilman Lavaris. They need his vote to swing the majority after the election. He needs to defect.
And he names his price. 25,000 ducats. A fortune.
A huge sum. But the trick isn't just getting the money, it's delivering it undetectably, so the Bonds Magi can't be linked and the opposition can't find it.
This is where Jean shines. Seriously, the artistry here.
It's incredible. He takes the 25,000 ducats gold coins, remember, and quietly boiled them down to precious stones. Emeralds, spider's eye pearls, mostly.
Much easier to hide. But where do you hide them so only Lavaris gets them?
In the reliquary boxes of Lavaris' own ancestors, stashed with the family remains.
Genius. Untouchable, deeply personal, completely off the radar. The money is delivered, but it's untraceable unless Lavaris himself retrieves it.
It's peak gentleman bastards. Meanwhile, though, Sabetha's not sitting idle.
No. She's pulling off her own schemes for the Black Iris.
Yeah.
Like getting that candidate, Virequa, cleared of charges.
Yeah, by hiring an actress to play his supposedly crazy cousin who took the fall for the theft. She's just as good at this game as Locke is.
Which maybe is the problem. For her, anyway. She eventually confronts Locke.
She comes back, disguised at first, even steals his purse just to prove she can, but then they talk.
And she really lays into him, doesn't she? Criticizes how he just accepts things, how chains groomed him to be both leader, garista, and priest.
She points out her own perspective, too. The only woman in a house of men has frequent cause for reflection. She sees things he doesn't, or won't.
And it ends badly. The confrontation escalates.
She uses magic. A silver thread. Seems she picked up a few tricks from her bondsmage employers. It paralyzes Locke temporarily.
Why? Why do that?
She tells him she couldn't stand watching him basically kill himself trying to beat her in this political game they're forced to play.
You'll kill yourself trying to best me, she says, and you can't ask me to permit that. It's complex, protective, but also controlling.
Definitely complex. A painful end to that particular contest. So the election finally happened.
And the results are a tie. Perfectly balanced, which means Lavaris.
His prearranged defection is the deciding vote. It swings the Conseil to Patience's Deep Roots faction. They won.
But then Patience shows up, and she has one last revelation for Locke, the real reason for all this.
This is the big one. She tells him his birth name, Lamora Acanthus.
Son of Archdon Providence, a former bondsmage.
A bondsmage who broke their biggest rule. He attempted necromancy, tried to raise the dead, an act so forbidden it apparently caused actual physical sickness in the world.
Whoa. So Locke isn't just some random orphan picked for his skills. He has bondsmage blood. Forbidden blood.
Exactly. And that seems to be the point of the whole 5-year game, as Patience calls it. The poisoning wasn't random. It was engineered to bring him into their orbit, to test him, maybe even to activate something in his lineage.
The election rigging, the rivalry with Sabetha, it was all just a test environment, a way to study him.
Seems like it, forcing him into action under pressure to see what his true nature, his true heritage really was. It wasn't about Karthain, it was about Locke Lamora, or rather, Lamora Acanthus.
Okay, so let's synthesize this. What does it all mean?
I mean, the big picture is that Bond's magi power, immense as it is governed by this crippling paranoia about the Eldrin precedent.
Which forces them into these weird, indirect methods, using criminals, rigging elections, all to avoid making too much magical noise.
And the key takeaway about the 5-year game, it wasn't just politics, it was recruitment, or maybe assessment. They needed Locke in play, needed to understand him because of who his father was.
So Locke, the master manipulator, finds out he's been manipulated on a scale he couldn't even imagine. And now he's living with the consequences.
Big consequences. His father's forbidden legacy and the prophecy.
Ah, yeah. Patience doesn't just leave him with the truth about his name. She gives him a future, too. A disturbing one.
Super unsettling. 3 things must you take up, and 3 things must you lose before you die. A key, a crown, a child. Cryptic.
And the final line, you will die when a silver rain falls. Just leaves him with that.
Which really leaves us, and you listening, with a final thought to chew on. Locke, or Lamora Acanthus, knows his father was a necromancer, breaking the ultimate taboo. And he knows his fate is tied to these 3 specific things: key, crown, child, and this weird silver rain.
So the provocative thought is, knowing the Bonds Magi, their paranoia, their power, their history, what kind of key or crown or child would be significant enough to feature in a prophecy like that? What would terrify or tempt Locke the most, knowing his background?
Yeah, how do you even live with that? Knowing your end is tied to symbols that specific, yet still so mysterious, what choices do you make?
Lots to think about there. We hope this deep dive from the gutters of Kemor to the council chambers of Karthain has given you a solid handle on this complex situation.
Thanks, as always, for sharing your sources with us.